Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a video which I think is going to be really good fun. I actually started this booktube channel 2 years ago now, and when I first started it I did the Booktube Newbie Tag. I don't know if any of you were here when I first did that video, but as you may or may not know, I only did maybe 8 to 10 videos before I stopped filming as I just got too busy. So I thought this would be a fun way of doing the newbie tag, because obviously I'm not quite a newbie. I did have my channel 2 years ago, so it felt wrong to do it as its own individual video, but I thought it'd be quite amusing for me to react and probably cringe a bit at the video I made 2 years ago, and also get an opportunity to re-answer the questions and really see how much has changed in 2 years. So my laptop is set up off screen here, but I'll obviously be putting the video just here so you can see what I'm reacting to, and let's press play and see what we've got.
Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel.
So the first thing I need to comment on is the audio. I realised that I was just filming on my DSLR, which is not a bad camera but wasn't great for filming, especially as I had it set up halfway across the room as to use the lens I wanted to use, which was my nice lens. It was really quite zoomed in. And so this camera was really far away from me with not a particularly good microphone built into it anyway, and so the audio on this video just slightly hurts me, but we're gonna have to go with it because we've got to watch the rest of the video. Okay, let's see if we can actually get to a question this time.
I never thought in a million years that I would be someone who started a YouTube channel. I have been watching YouTube for almost 10 years now, and I've many times thought, oh, could I do that? But I never actually thought I would sit down and film a video.
And also, I actually don't agree with what I said here about I never thought I'd be someone who started a YouTube channel. Back when I was 12 and watching the vloggers such as Zoella and that lot, I really wanted to start a channel. I just didn't think that I'd be able to sort of come up with a thing to talk about. I didn't think I was interesting enough. So yes, starting a channel didn't seem necessarily possible because I didn't have a topic, but I always wanted to start one, so it's not that out of the blue. So I'm not sure I completely agree with that anymore.
I never actually thought I would sit down and film a video, but here we are, and for anyone that's interested, this is going to be a booktube channel, so I thought I would start off in quite an appropriate way with the Booktube Newbie Tag, so here we go.
I will say, I feel like I'm not too awkward in this. It's actually not too awful, but you can tell that I am really quite nervous. I will actually cut in a clip here, just in the main video, which is the first clip I ever have of me saying my intro, and then proceeding to freak out and be like, what am I doing? So I'll cut that in here because it just always amuses me.
Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. And I can't believe I just filmed this. Fuck my life.
Okay, carrying on, let's see what the first question is.
I will just say I definitely did not create this tag, but I don't know who did, so credit to them. I've seen it 1,000 times before and I'm so excited to be giving it a go myself.
Okay, so before the first question, I do actually now know the creator of the tag. It was Brenda C. As far as I'm aware, she doesn't still have any form of channel or social media presence. If anyone does know who she is or anything, please let me know and I'll link her in the description. But at this point, that is all I've managed to find. Okay, hopefully I will now finally get to the first question.
So question 1 is, why did you start this channel? As I said, I've been watching YouTube for a really long time, but about 8 or 9 months ago is when I came across Booktube once I got back into reading after being in pretty much a 3-year slump. And since then I've just been obsessed. I watch it every day, and then I started a blog, and then I started a Bookstagram, and so I've loved making friends on all these platforms, but I thought it'd be really fun to start up a Booktube channel and give that a go as well.
Okay, so that question obviously still follows. I love Booktube so much. I spend so much time watching it, and there's some amazing creators on here. And as I said, I have a blog and a Bookstagram, which are slightly less active, especially the blog now, but I'm still keeping it ticking over. I started doing this because it sounded interesting, and then actually I completely fell in love through doing this with video editing, which was probably the biggest motivation for me to get back to it. Is I just loved the process of filming and editing a video, so I was really keen to get back to doing this, which is why I've started it back up as soon as I could. Okay, second question, here we go.
Question 2 are, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I'm not too sure about this. I mean, I'm quite a perky person, but it seems that most people on Booktube are, and I'm not sure I can necessarily bring something really unique to this, but I just want to do this to have fun and make a lot of friends, and hopefully that'll be enough.
Okay, so my answer actually hasn't changed too significantly from that either. I don't know what I'm specifically going to bring to YouTube. I mean, there are so many extraordinary creators already out there, and I think every topic is sort of already taken, but I love it and I want to keep doing it. I think the only very specific little thing I could bring is my absolute obsession with portal fantasy, which is my favourite thing, and trust me, you will never get me to shut up about books which contain magical doors, especially if they contain other books that are involved with that. I will probably be doing a whole video soon about my favourite books, and trust me, about half of them are portal fantasy. So that's probably my niche, but I read anything, especially if it has LGBT rep in it. Question 3.
Question 3 is, what are you most excited about for this new channel? And honestly, I just think it's going to be a really fun new experience. I've been taking photos for pretty much as long as I can remember, but I've never branched out into trying film, and I think it's going to be really, really exciting to try my hand at video editing and filming, and it's going to be a learning process, but I think it's going to be really, really interesting.
So yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. I completely fell in love with video, and especially video editing, through doing Booktube. I've not actually continued it much over the last couple of years, just again, if I didn't have time to have Booktube, I certainly didn't have time to do much video editing. But I'm getting back into it now and I am loving it. I know a lot of people find video editing quite difficult, but I personally, it's probably my favourite part of making a video. I like filming, I like giving all the opinions, but I love taking those clips you've got and making them into something really, really special when editing it, and it's just a whole lot of fun, to be honest. But the question itself is, what am I most excited about? And if I'm honest, I think it's getting more involved with the community. I've always been really quite a passive watcher of Booktube. I watch the videos, I enjoy them. I sometimes actually discuss them with my mum, because she also loves reading and watches a lot of Booktube, although quite different people often. But I'm rubbish at remembering to comment and interact with people. So I'm hoping this will really remind me to start interacting and hopefully building some connections and making some friends on this channel and through this community, which I'm so, so excited about. Okay, question 4.
Question 4 is, why do I love reading? And honestly, there's just so many reasons for this. I love exploring worlds that people have created, or analysing a character and trying to think about why they do something completely differently to how I would. And I just find it so interesting, and to be honest, that's just why I love reading, because it's fascinating to me.
Okay, so why I love reading hasn't really changed. It's just a genuine love, especially for visiting different worlds. I read majority fantasy, I do also read contemporary, but I still consider reading contemporary as actually visiting a different world, because even if it's Earth as we know it, it's that world through someone else's eyes, which is almost the same as going to somewhere you're not even slightly familiar with. So I think it is just still that, getting different perspectives on everything, and also the amount you can learn from reading from other people's opinions and other characters' opinions, and it is just absolutely interesting, and I don't think I will ever stop reading and learning more through it.
Question.
Okay, just a quick note on the beginning of question 5. I need to learn how to edit and edit out little things like fixing my hair. I'm not going to lie, I fix my hair a million times in a video because it does things like this, but I need to learn to edit that out. Just tip for younger me, which hopefully I'm learning pretty quickly. So actual question 5 now.
Question 5 is, which book or series got you into reading? And this definitely has to be Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. Years and years ago, I got this book for Christmas, having never really been into reading, and I fell in love. I was absolutely engrossed, I couldn't put it down. And pretty much ever since then, I've been an avid reader. But more recently, I say more recently, still about probably 8 years ago, is when I read the Divergent series, and that is what really introduced me to YA. I didn't know that was a genre, I didn't know that was a thing, but as soon as I did, I was set, and I've pretty much loved reading ever since.
Okay, that is obviously still true. The same books are still what got me here. So Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, the Divergent series absolutely started my love for dystopian books, especially when dystopian was such a big thing. I have to add on The Fault in Our Stars way back then. Is it necessarily the best book ever? No. Does it mean the world to me? Absolutely. It was so key in my just absolute love for devouring books. But just to add something different, a book I really want to mention, it's actually just up here, is Strange to Dream by Laini Taylor. Although this book didn't necessarily get me into reading in itself, as I was already an avid reader when I read this, it brought a whole new section of reading to me, which is lyrical prose and sort of that adventure, portal fantasy sort of thing, which has resulted in being my absolute favourite genre. So Laini Taylor is, I want to say to blame, but to thank for my absolute love of lyrical prose. And honestly, if you give me poetic writing, I will be happy forever. So did this get me into reading overall? Maybe not, but it was definitely key in shaping my reading taste really significantly. Okay, on to question 6.
Question number 6 is, what question would you want to ask your favourite booktubers? This is such a fun question. I think I would definitely ask, Were you as unbelievably nervous to start a booktube channel as I am right now? They just seem so comfortable in front of a camera, and it seems something they've been doing for their whole lives, and honestly I would just love to feel like I can relate to them that they were also absolutely terrified when they first started out.
Okay, that was a good question. I still kind of want to know that. I'm a lot less nervous now. I'm quite happy to just sort of sit and talk to you. I don't really mind, but yeah, I would kind of love to know. I'm sure most people were all in the same position when we started. I think if I had to ask a question now, I've been sitting here pondering because I couldn't think of something because I didn't really look up what the questions for the tag were before filming this, would be how do you vlog? Like, I can do a sit down video, I can sit and chat, I can edit it, fine. Vlogging I'm finding really difficult. I don't know what things to film. I feel like everything is just going to end up being one big time lapse, and editing them to make them interesting. Like, I specifically love A Frolic Through Fiction and Cody Book Corners vlogs. I just find they're so interesting. They switch between time lapse and montage and just normal clips, and they're just fascinating to watch and really, really engaging. And I would love to be able to do that, and I don't know how to. So how do you vlog? How do you put a video together? How do you know what to film? That's what I would really love to know. Okay, on to question 7.
Question 7 is, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? And honestly, I think the biggest problem, at least from my perspective, will be getting my name out there. No one is just going to stumble across these videos, but who knows, maybe I can find a way. But also using YouTube. I do not have a clue how YouTube works with respect to uploading a video. I've only ever watched. I've never even looked at what you can do with regards to uploading a video, so that's definitely going to be interesting, but I'm pretty sure I can figure it out.
2 comments on that. Firstly, getting your name out there is hard. I've had a little bit of success with this on Bookstagram. I've got like a very small but a following there. Booktube, I don't know where to start. It is difficult having the motivation when it feels like you're talking to a brick wall, but at the same time I'm doing this because I love it, and more than anything because I want an excuse of a video to edit. So I don't really mind that as much. I'm just happy to keep posting and have a bit of fun with it, to be honest. And with regards about my comment about how to use YouTube, oh, I did not have a clue. I'm not sure I really do now, but the one thing I will absolutely say is that it's much better. I remember uploading videos then and having an absolute hell of a time trying to get them to do what I wanted. And when I uploaded mine on, Monday, it was so simple. It just went really easily. It uploaded how I wanted. I have much quicker Wi-Fi now that I'm at home, which makes it so much nicer. And I just found the process so much smoother, and it was absolutely great. So yeah, props to YouTube for improving in the last 2 years. I've not been using it in the meantime, but I definitely think it's better now, so that solves that one a little bit. So to answer that question again, what do I think will be most challenging? I think it's just a case of coming up with innovative content. There is amazing content out there right now. I specifically love sort of Chandler Ainsley when she does taste tests, Books and Lala with her like long form videos, and just all sorts of different things. I love TBR games. I've actually got a really fun TBR game planned, which you should be seeing next month. But it's coming up with something new, and I'm not saying all content has to be innovative. I will still sit and watch a TBR and a wrap up, or honestly just reading a book you love. I just love seeing people talk about it. But it would be nice to have something which you're sort of not even known for, but is fun and interesting. So I guess maybe trying to develop something along those lines would be quite challenging.
Question 8 is, when
Why
did
do
you
I keep
start
putting my
reading?
fingers
And
up?
I started reading
Why
years
am I
and
doing
years
this?
ago. I remember when I was really young being absolutely obsessed with the Animal Arc books. But I didn't get completely into reading for pleasure until I was about 10 or 11 when I read everything. I was reading all the time, and for a few years I was reading 80 to 100 books every year. Until I got to exams when I was 15 through till about 18, I didn't read at all. I just didn't have time.
No.
I was spending my whole life studying. And it was a shame, but it needed to happen. And then probably about 9 months ago now is when I really, really got back into reading, and I am loving being back into it. I love it so much, and honestly I didn't realise how much I missed it until I got it back.
So yeah, that obviously story hasn't really changed. Just I guess to flesh it out a bit, the reason I got back into reading is I actually had an internship in the summer after my first year of university, and in this time I actually ended up living in a hotel pretty much Monday to Friday for 8 weeks, which, if I'm honest, as a 19-year-old, it's pretty boring. I got very fit, I went to the gym a lot just to kill time in the evenings, but I needed something to do. And that's why I absolutely fell in love with reading. I just sort of took a book with me for the journey and for when I was there for one evening, and just absolutely fell back into it. I also just find it quite amusing that the numbers I quoted were 80 to 100 books, as by the end of that year I had read 80 books and the year after I read just over 100 books. So it looks like I'm reading almost as much now as I was back then, which seems very appropriate. And reflecting on what I said about sort of, you know, it's a shame that I had to stop reading for a while because of school and university, but it was necessary. That's exactly what happened with this booktube channel. I loved doing it. I wanted to keep going. But university took over. I had to just focus on my degree and getting my degree completed, and now that it is done, I can be here and back on Booktube.
Question 9 is, where do you read? Honestly, I will read anywhere. If I have a book with me and I have a spare second, I will have it out and I will be reading. But this is definitely my favourite place to read. This is my little reading nook in my little university room, and I absolutely love it. It's so cosy. I have my fairy lights. It's by a massive window, so there's lots of natural light. It's just really, really nice, and I absolutely love reading here. It's really relaxing, and it's a good way to shut off from uni when I need a break.
So that hasn't changed. I will read pretty much anywhere, with the exception being if I'm in a car. If I read in a car, no one is going to be happy with what happens at the end of that. It will just not be worth it. But other than that, I will read absolutely anywhere. I cannot remember the last time I left the house without a book with me. It may well be completely pointless. It will likely be I'm going somewhere where I will not be able to read, but I will take a book with me nonetheless just in case. And yeah, I will read anywhere, but I do have a reading nook set up over there, which I'll cut in a clip here so that you can see my little reading nook, though at some point I might be doing a bit of a room tour to show you that. But just in my room in general, my bed's obviously super comfy, so I read in bed a lot. I read just down in like the family room as well, because now I'm home, I have more rooms. When I'm at uni, you have your room and a kitchen, and that's literally the only space you have. Now I'm home, I've got a house with many rooms, and it's brilliant. I can actually switch up where I'm reading a lot more, which is really, really nice actually. So I do have a designated reading spot, but there is no guarantee that I'll be using it, though I do use it quite a lot.
And now for the very last
question,
question 10. What do you like to read? I definitely mainly read YA, but I think that's partially because I watch booktube videos about YA books, and I follow people on Bookstagram who post about YA books. So those are the books I hear about and the ones I get interested in and therefore tend to pick up.
So yeah, in terms of this, I still read YA. I love YA. A lot of my favourite books are YA. But since the beginning of this year, I've been reading a lot more adult books. I don't know why, but I just personally have. I've been picking up a lot more adult books, especially adult contemporary, which surprises me more than anything. And I'm really, really enjoying it. It just gives me a slightly more varied reading taste. Yeah, it's really interesting, but nothing against YA. I still love it. As I said, many of my favourite books are YA, and many of the books on my TBR are YA, and I don't think I will ever stop reading it.
The main genres, I mean, pretty much anything. I'll read contemporary, fantasy, magical realism, dystopian, and I think dystopian very much holds a special place in my heart because that's the genre that got me into reading in the first place. But honestly, anything, if it has good characters or a good plot, I will pick it up and I will read it, and I will probably love it.
That hasn't changed. I will read anything. I would say I read more fantasy than anything else, but it's definitely a close call. I do read quite a lot of contemporary. The only genre I would say that's been added since this video would be romance. I love any good romance in a contemporary, and then I gradually started reading like very slightly steamier contemporary books, and I've never read like full out smut, but I definitely enjoy a good romance book. There's some absolutely brilliant ones out there, and they're some of my favourite books. Other than that, the only other thing I would say in terms of what I read, as I already mentioned, is portal fantasy or anything with lyrical prose. Literally, we have The Starless Sea, The 10,000 Doors of January, we've got Strange the Dreamer up here, we've got the Wayward Children series. Portal fantasy is my favourite thing in the world, and if you have any recommendations for books with magical doors or travelling to other worlds, please let me know because I need more of it. I will never get enough of things like that.
So that is it for the Booktube Newbie Tag. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to check out any of my other social media, like my Bookstagram or my blog, they will all be linked in the description below. But yeah, I filmed my first YouTube video. This is really exciting, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, so that's it. That end card hurts me. That is A, not nice looking, and B, it has a clip of a different end card beforehand because I didn't know how to edit it out and I couldn't replace it, so we just got stuck on that. I remember doing that, actually it didn't go well. But that's it. So I guess I kind of have the same message for you really, but I really enjoyed reacting to that. It's interesting how my answers didn't change that much, though a lot of them were obviously looking at how you started reading, and it being 2 years later is not going to change an answer of something like that. But it was really good fun. My reading tastes haven't changed too significantly since then. I still read quite similar books, but there's definitely been some advancement, and I feel like I'm also learning more and more as time goes on what specific aspects of books I enjoy, so I'm getting better at catering my reading picks to things I'm going to enjoy. But at the same time, I'm actually less picky. I feel like I've read this big checklist of books I've missed out on in the 2 years I wasn't reading. And now anything that sounds vaguely interesting to me, I'll pick up and see. And I've discovered some of my absolute favourite books that way. So I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly really enjoyed watching that back and sort of seeing what I'd said back then, and also just how I acted. I'm always convinced I don't look any different or act any different. But watching something from 2 years ago actually makes me see that I've kind of grown up a little bit, not a huge amount. And so I'll actually be really intrigued in about 2 years' time to see how much I've changed from here. So that's about it for today. Thank you so much for watching if you made it all the way to the end. And if you want to follow me on any other platform, then my social media, Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads and blog will be all down below. I specifically have a Bookstagram account, so please go and follow me over there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, then please subscribe. And let me know down below, when did you start your booktube? How long have you been doing this? Have you had breaks? Have you done it consistently? Do you want to start a booktube? Just let me know and let's chat down in the comments. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.